by train to nowhere and everywhere. You don't remember falling asleep. You don't remember deciding to go. But at some point, somewhere between the weight of your thoughts and the weightlessness of everything else, you find yourself walking. It's quiet here, not the silence of empty rooms or unplugged machines. This is a full silence, like snow falling in an old memory. It absorbs things. Echoes go nowhere. Your steps are slow, not cautious, just peaceful. The ground beneath you is stone, cracked in places, uneven but familiar, like a sidewalk in a town you might have lived in once, or meant to. Mist curls at your ankles, not thick, not heavy, just enough to blur the edges of things. Ahead, there's a platform. No roof, no station house, just a long stretch of stone and wood lined with flickering lamps that look like they've been burning since a time before time. Their glow is amber, gentle. Tired, maybe, but still trying. There's no one else here. But it doesn't feel empty. And there's a sign bolted to a metal post near the center of the platform. You walk up to it without urgency. The letters are worn but readable. You don't smile. But you don't not smile either. There's a bench nearby, wooden slats, iron legs, the kind of bench found in parks or stories or old photographs. You sit. The mist gathers gently at your feet. The lamps above flicker but never go out. Somewhere in the distance a horn sounds. Low, long, melancholy. You don't know where it came from. It doesn't feel close, but it also doesn't feel far. You glance down the length of the platform. There's no wall, no fence, just more of this space. You could walk if you wanted to, but you don't. You wait. A cool breeze passes over you. No source, no direction, just presence. The kind of breeze that makes you check your pockets, even if you're not carrying anything. You look down. In your hand, there's a small slip of paper. You didn't pick it up. You don't remember being handed anything, but it's there, folded twice, thin and weightless. You open it. There's no text, just an arrow, pointing forward. Toward the tracks. Toward whatever comes next. You stand again. The bench doesn't protest. The mist parts just slightly beneath your steps, curling in on itself and then vanishing. The tracks appear now, clearer than before. Silver rails, wooden ties. A pathway that extends not into darkness but into haze, soft and glowing. And then you hear it, not the horn this time, a rhythm, distant, rolling. Wheels approaching, you step closer to the edge of the platform, not too close, just enough to see. A shape forms in the mist, a headlamp, a curve of metal, the deep, quiet breath of an engine that doesn't need to burn anything to move. The train arrives without hurry. Doesn't screech or slow, it simply glides to a stop. Smooth, deliberate, inevitable. And it is longer than you expected, much longer. Some cars are sleek and silver, some wooden and painted. One is made of glass, another seems to be stitched from canvas and lit from within. There's a caboose somewhere, but it's already out of sight. The doors don't open, they are already open. You look once more at the platform, the lamps, the bench, the sign. Then you step aboard, and the door eases shut behind you. And you step into the first car and immediately forget what the outside sounded like. It's quiet here too, but not the same kind of quiet. This silence has edges, texture. You can feel It's settled around your shoulders like a blanket, just a few degrees cooler than your skin. The entry vestibule is small. Floorboards underfoot, faded wallpaper above, and a metal rack near the ceiling filled with umbrellas no one claimed. A narrow brass-framed window lets in light, but not from anywhere you can see. It's not sunlight. Not quite. The first room opens like a waiting area. Polished wood benches line the walls. The floor is inlaid tile, cream and green, with swirls that look like they'd been walked over for generations. There's no dust, just time. On the far wall, a timetable clicks softly. The board is tall, mechanical, the kind with lettered flaps that flip in place. You can hear the mechanism ticking in the background, even when it's not changing. At the top, in weathered gold lettering, it reads, "You walk closer." The first destination says, "Later." The second, "Somewhere you meant to go." Then the board flickers. Letters flip in stuttering rhythm, ticking through languages and characters you don't recognize, then settling again. Now it reads, "A Tuesday in October. The place you almost stayed." Underneath. One more flicker. Back. The times beside each destination are all the same. Eventually. There's no schedule, just intention. The board flips again, briefly showing a column labeled platform, but every row says you're already on it. You take a seat on one of the benches. The wood is cool but smooth, the kind of smooth that only happens after decades of quiet use. There's a coat hook beside you with nothing hanging on it, and a small brass plaque on the wall above the bench. The plaque says, "Not the beginning, but close enough." You rest your hands on your knees and look out the small window on the opposite wall. The mist outside is thinner now. You can almost see trees, or maybe just shadows that want to be trees. The train hasn't started moving, but the light is changing. It's brighter now, but not warmer. You hear the softest sound, like a typewriter key pressed once and released. The timetable flips again, just one entry this time. Now. You feel the train move, almost imperceptibly, not a jolt, not a lurch, just a shift, like gravity remembering what to do. The bench hums quietly beneath you. The floor offers the slightest vibration, the kind you only notice if you're trying to stay perfectly still. It's the rhythm of motion beginning. Outside the window, the lamps of the platform flicker once more, then vanish behind a curtain of light and distance. You stand slowly and walk toward the narrow doorway at the end of the car. The handle is brass. The paint is chipped. But the door opens with no sound. You pass into the next car, and the world begins to unfold. The next car is not a car, not in the way you understand them. It opens into a corridor, not narrow, but endless feeling. You step forward expecting the usual rows of seats, windows, people you don't talk to, but instead you find space, length, variation. The lighting changes as you walk. One section is lit by crystal sconces mounted on velvet walls. Another is bathed in skylight, though there's no sky above. The ceiling adjusts itself with each car, as though trying on different heights to see what feels right. You pass doors. Dozens. Some open, some cracked, some closed and breathing, as if the room behind them is dreaming with its mouth shut. You pause at one marked observatory. Inside, there's a velvet chaise and a glass dome ceiling. Stars flicker above, too slow to be real, too close to be imagined. A cup of tea waits on a silver tray. Steam curls upward. The tag on the string says, "You don't drink it." You nod politely to the room and close the door behind you. Back in the corridor, you keep walking. There's no end in sight, no repetition either. One section is made entirely of smooth black tile, the walls humming quietly, tuned to a note you almost remember. Another is narrow and full of doors without knobs. Another is wide and lined with mirrors that reflect only the backs of rooms you've never entered. You stop at a car that appears to be made of stained glass. Light passes through in soft, colored beams. Samber, rose, soft green. The floor here is mosaic, tiled with phrases in languages you don't speak, but understand anyway. You pass a small table with an open book. No words, just a sketch of the train itself, stretching into a horizon that bends upward. The next car is wooden, warm, and familiar. It smells like campfires and clean laundry. There's a grandfather clock near the door. It's ticking backward. You don't bother to check the time. Somewhere along the corridor, the shape of the train begins to bend. You feel it in the tilt of your body, like walking the inside of a spiral. It doesn't make you dizzy. It makes you still. You pause again and look out the nearest window, and realize for the first time the train isn't just moving forward, it's moving outward, growing, branching. There's no center car, no engine to reach, just more. Cars stretch into the mist ahead and behind. You're certain if you turned around, the cars behind you would be different now. New rooms, new doors, maybe rooms waiting to exist. And then, a new sensation. Not motion, not arrival, a soft weight in the air like the train has passed some invisible threshold. The air smells faintly of wood smoke and lemon peel. You reach for the door to the next car, and just before you pass through, you catch a flicker of movement outside the window. A landscape. Something familiar but slightly off. The first glimpse of what lies beyond the train itself. You pass into the next car, expecting more corridor, but instead the space opens wide. Windows line both sides, tall, arched, and dustless. The seats here are velvet, deep and inviting, with brass accents that feel like they belong in an old museum. The color palette is warm. Ochre, soft green, burgundy. The air smells faintly of pencil shavings and dry leaves. You sit near the center. There are no other passengers, but the car doesn't feel empty. It feels paused, like a place between stops, waiting but not impatient. You glance out the window, and for the first time, the mist breaks. Beyond the glass is a neighborhood, familiar but not quite. You recognize the layout before the landmarks. Wide streets lined with boxy houses, lawns edged with chain-length fences, a basketball hoop without a net, a corner store you don't remember visiting but remember describing to someone once. The street names are blurred, but your memory fills them in any way. One house stands out, not because it's important, but because it wasn't. You almost lived there, once, maybe. The shutters are painted blue, the kind of blue that fades gently over time, not from neglect, but from kindness. There's a porch swing with no one in it, moving slightly in a wind you can't feel. The front steps are crooked. The mailbox leans. You feel something like nostalgia, but less sharp, as if your memory knows not to press too hard. The train rolls on. A dog barks once in the distance. A bike lies in a yard. A woman stands at the edge of a driveway, looking toward the tracks, not at the train, but toward where it's going. She holds a cup of coffee in both hands and sips just as you pass. A streetlight flickers. You don't know if it's morning or evening. Maybe it's always almost one of those. You lean back and watch as the neighborhood drifts past. A cul-de-sac opens and vanishes. A cracked sidewalk reappears in perfect condition. A clothesline full of drying towels spins slowly, as if the air itself remembers something useful. You close your eyes for a moment, and when you open them again, the windows are full of trees, the town is gone. The train hums, the seats breathe, the rhythm continues. And you rise, quietly, and move to the next car. The next car is dim and cool, the way libraries often are, not cold, but quiet in temperature as well as sound. The carpet is thick beneath your shoes, muting every step. The scent is unmistakable. Paper, ink, time. Something like cedar and old bookmarks. A little dust. A little warmth. You could stay here for hours and still not be sure how long you'd been reading. Shelves line the walls, floor to ceiling, dark-stained wood full of books, in perfect order, but none of them have titles. No names, no authors, not even symbols on the spines, which is blank covers, the kind of covers that let your hand wander before your eyes can judge. You reach out and run your fingers along a row. The books hum faintly beneath your touch. Not vibrating exactly, just acknowledging you. You pull one gently from the shelf and open it. Inside, the pages shimmer slightly. At first, they seem blank, but as your eyes adjust, you begin to see shapes, words forming softly, like fog writing itself across glass. You read a line aloud, though your voice is hushed without trying. The words shift mid-sentence. You stop. The book is still listening. You close it and return it to its place. The hum fades instantly. You wander farther in. Some shelves have tiny objects on them. An hourglass, half full of blue sand. A bell with no clapper. A folded paper crane balanced on a copy of nothing in particular. Each object feels like it belongs, though you're not sure how. You resist the urge to touch them. There's a reading nook tucked into a corner, shaped like an alcove. A round window peers into the moving world outside, and beside it, a small chair, perfectly worn. You sit. The train is still gliding, and outside the landscape is changing again. Rolling fields, gold and green, stretch out into hills. The grass doesn't bend with the wind. It sways with rhythm, like it's breathing. Trees pass by, solitary and patient. One has a door in its trunk, another is wrapped in silver ribbon. The window fogs slightly where your breath meets the glass. You turn back toward the shelves. One book sits on a pedestal. Unlike the others, it's open already, face up, beneath, a soft cone of warm light. You approach. The pages are full of handwriting, not printed, not typed, a looping script you almost recognize. You read a single line. I've been waiting for you to find the page you already turned. You blink once. The handwriting is gone. Blank page. You close the book gently and walk away without needing to understand. As you near the far end of the car, you pass one last shelf. The top row is full of journals. Some leather-bound, some stitched with string. One of them has your name on it. You don't take it down, but you nod. The door ahead is simple. Brass handle. A faint glow around the edges. You open it and walk through. You open the door and step into light. Not bright light, not harsh, but full. A soft, glowing kind that fills the space completely, as if the entire car is lit from inside the air itself. This car is made almost entirely of windows. The panes stretch from floor to ceiling on both sides, set in deep, brass-framed arches. The floors are polished wood, warm beneath your feet. A few chairs are scattered throughout, Veligan in moss green and faded navy. None of them match, but all of them feel like they belong here, Every chair faces the windows. You sit in the one closest to you. The moment you do, the world outside appears. It takes your breath in the way quiet things sometimes do, not with shock, but with wonder. Outside the train, an ocean floats. Not beside the train, not below it. Above, the sea is suspended in midair, curving across the sky like a great mirrored dome. Waves roll slowly, gently, without crashing. They shimmer as if held together by thought rather than gravity. You can see fish swimming in slow loops through the blue, lazily, contentedly, like the idea of movement is enough. Boats drift across the surface of the sky like sea. Small ones, rowboats mostly. One is a canoe with a lantern hanging from its bow. Another is a sailboat with no sail, just the mast, and something handwritten across its hull. There is no storm, no tide. The sea above the train is calm, endless. The gull passes upside down across the arc of sky. You find yourself watching the horizon curve back into itself, as if the ocean above the train meets another world on the far side. One you could get to, maybe, if you had more time. Or less. Below the sea, there's a soft layer of cloud, pink and gold, like cotton dipped in candlelight. The train glides through it without disturbing anything. The clouds part for it, then rejoin behind it, seamless. When you rest your head against the glass, there's a subtle vibration from the tracks, or from whatever the train is using now, because you haven't seen rails in a while. Just movement, gentle, eternal. The window is cool, but not cold. Your breath fogs it faintly, then disappears. Across from you, another chair rocks slightly. You glance toward it. No one is there. But a scarf has been left folded neatly over the backrest, striped blue and gray, the kind worn by someone thoughtful, someone always 5 minutes early. You sit in silence for a long time. There's nothing to say, and nowhere else to look. The ocean turns slowly above you, the clouds open softly ahead, and the train hums forward. Into more of whatever this is, you stand again. The chair shifts slightly as you leave, as if grateful. At the far end of the car, the windows grow smaller. The light dims just a little, and the next door waits. You open the next door and step into a different decade. Linoleum tiles checker the floor, cherry red and cream, worn just enough to feel honest. Vinyl booths line the windows, their cushions cracked in the corners but still springy. A long metal counter stretches down one side of the car, flanked by tall, round stools with chrome legs and footrests worn to a dull shine. It's quiet here, but not silent. There's the soft whir of an old refrigerator somewhere in the back, the faint clink of dishes settling in place. And from the ceiling, the jukebox. Tune plays low and slow. You recognize the melody, but not the song. It sounds like something your grandparents might have danced to on a night they never mentioned, but remembered every year. You slide into the nearest booth. There's already a cup of coffee waiting. You don't question it. The mug is heavy, ceramic, slightly chipped. Steam curls from the top, rising lazily into the air. You lift it, take a sip. It's perfect. Not too hot, not too sweet, just warm enough to feel real. You set it down, and the steam continues. There's a menu on the table, laminated, yellowed at the edges. The sections are familiar. Breakfast, sandwiches, sides. But the items aren't. Thursday special, grilled yes on rye, memory hush, comes with toast. You flip it over. On the back is a crossword puzzle. Every clue is blank, but the boxes are already filled in. You look closer. The letters spell words you've thought about recently, but haven't said out loud. You close the menu. Behind the counter, a statue of a waitress stands still, smiling, holding a coffee pot frozen mid-pour. She's porcelain or metal or something else entirely. Her name tag says, "I'll be right with you." You believe her. Outside the windows, the mist is gone again. This time, the train passes through a desert, but not one you've seen before. The sand is white and fine, like sifted sugar. Cacti grow in spirals. Telephone poles line the tracks, but the wires curve upward into the sky, vanishing into clouds that drift beneath them instead of above. In the far distance, a billboard stands on one metal leg, its face blank but glowing softly, as if it had just finished displaying something and needs a moment to remember what comes next. The coffee stays warm. You finish the cup slowly. It never cools, not even once. You don't pour more. You don't need to. When you rise, the seat springs breathe back into place behind you. There's a receipt on the table now. No numbers, no total, just a single line of text, paid for by a future version of you. You tuck it into your pocket. The door ahead swings gently on its hinges, as if it knew you were coming before you stood. You walk through, and the air turns golden. The warmth meets you before the door fully closes behind. It's not hot, not heavy, just present. A living warmth, the kind found in quiet gardens and windowsills in late afternoon. The light here is golden, orange at the edges, soft as breath. It filters through glass ceiling panels streaked with condensation, curved above like the roof of a conservatory that's been moving forever. This is the greenhouse car. You step onto stone tiles now, irregular and moss-lined, soft at the edges, slightly damp from a mist you didn't notice until it touched your skin. The scent of earth greets you instantly. Rich soil, crushed leaves, something faintly floral and unnamed. Every surface is alive. Vines crawl up metal trellises along the walls, blooming with flowers that shouldn't grow in the same climate. Orchids beside marigolds, violets hugging sunflowers, a single dandelion puff that never blows away. Glass pots hang overhead, swinging just slightly, as if the train were breathing. You walk slowly. There's a small wooden bench between two overgrown lemon trees. You sit. The bark peels in spirals near the base. The butterfly settles briefly on your shoulder and leaves behind nothing but a cooler spot where it rested. Rain gently taps on the ceiling, though the sky is clear. The sound is soft, distant, like it's being remembered rather than happening. To your left, a narrow wooden door stands slightly ajar. A sign hangs from the knob. It reads, "Dormant." You do not open it. On a low table nearby sits a terrarium shaped like a house. Inside it, a miniature garden grows. Moss, stones, a tiny ceramic deer. There's condensation on the glass. A fingerprint, left in the fog, not yours. You trace around it gently, then leave it be. Further down the car, water drips from a copper pipe into a bird bath. A tortoise rests beside it, unmoving except for one slow blink. It watches you without alarm. You nod once, so does it. The air smells now of rosemary, then thyme, then nothing. A glass wind chime near the far door tinkles once, though there's no breeze. The sun outside the windows never moves. It stays just above the horizon, caught in eternal pause. The light never fades, never brightens, just glows. Perfectly. You walk toward the end of the car. As you do, the plants begin to part naturally, giving you space. Not in fear, not in retreat, just in understanding. You pass a flower you've never seen before. Its petals are translucent, glowing faintly from within. When you lean closer, it smells like the feeling you had once when someone waited for you without asking why you were late. You don't pick it. At the final wall, the doorway gleams slightly in the sunset light. The vines stop short of the frame as if out of respect. You touch the handle. It's cool and dry. You look back once. The greenhouse pulses gently in the quiet, still growing, still glowing. You step through. The next car is narrow, dimmer again, quiet in a way that suggests focus, like a hallway in a museum or the back wing of an old hotel. There are no chairs in this car, just windows, tall, thin ones, each framed in polished brass, spaced evenly like paintings in a gallery. You step closer to the first, expecting mist or sky or trees, but instead you see a city, not just any city, one made entirely of mirrors. Buildings rise in impossible shapes, towers curved like teardrops, staircases climbing the sides of glass domes, rooftops that shimmer like mercury in sunlight. The entire skyline ripples slightly as the train passes, bending itself toward your gaze, as if trying to get a better look at you. The reflections don't match your perspective. Some show places the train hasn't passed yet. Some show places it never will. One pane reflects the greenhouse car, though you're not in it anymore. You pause at the next window. In it, your reflection stares back, but delayed, just by a beat. You raise your hand slowly. It follows, but only after it should. Then smiles. You didn't. You move to another window. Here, the city rises around a central plaza. A mirrored fountain sits in the middle, water flowing up instead of down. People walk its edges. Figures made of light and shadow, reflections with no source. One of them stops and waves at the glass. You can't tell who they're waving to. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone else standing behind you in some version of this train that doesn't exist yet. At the next window, you see the train reflected, longer than it should be. Too many cars. Some of them don't match what you've seen. One car looks like it's filled with trees. Another glows from within, pulsing like a lighthouse. One is dark. You look away. The city shifts as the train glides through it. The mirrored buildings lean closer now. The lights from their windows flicker softly, not in Morse code or warning, but in rhythm, like breathing, like winking. One tower stretches across the sky in an arc, its reflection forming a perfect loop overhead, as if the sky were flexing into a tunnel. You stop at the last window. Here, the city ends in a horizon made of glass waves. An ocean with no water, just layered reflections curving back toward themselves again and again, echoing light in patterns that make no mathematical sense, but feel true anyway. Your own reflection stands beside you. This time, it does nothing. It just waits. So do you. Eventually the train begins to turn. The city slides away behind a shimmer, and your reflection is gone. You exhale slowly. Then you move forward again. The next car smells faintly of cedar and steam, and everything inside it has been left behind. The door opens into warmth, dry, wood-scented, still. This car feels older, dustier, quieter in the corners. The light comes from small lamps with fabric shades, each casting a little circle of gold onto worn carpet and wooden shelves. There are no passengers here, only belongings. The shelves are full, stacked neatly, not cluttered. Everything is labeled. Every tag is handwritten, some in cursive, some in block print, some in looping scrawl that barely stays on the paper. You walk slowly. A pair of gloves, left on the first cold day, a tattered scarf, never claimed. A toy robot, missing one arm but smiling with its painted face, thought to be under the bed. You pass a raincoat with 3 buttons folded with care. Its tag reads, loaned, not returned, no hard feelings. One shelf contains only umbrellas, dozens, all different, all waiting. Another holds books. Not rare ones, just well-loved paperbacks. Their spines are bent, the pages curl slightly at the corners. One book has a library sticker on the cover. You recognize the title, but not why it matters. And then there are the boxes, stacks of them, small and square, each tied with twine. One is labeled, Things I Meant to Say. Another, What I Thought the Song Was About. Some are even more specific. Tuesday, 1999. Window seat, looked away too soon. You don't open any of them. Not because you can't, just because they aren't for you. A little farther in, there's a shelf filled with mismatched shoes, each one paired with a note left outside the door, outgrown but missed, danced in once. At the back of the car is a small wooden cabinet with glass doors. Inside, a single lunchbox sits on velvet. You recognize it instantly. It's yours, not from now, from long ago. The sticker on the lid is faded, peeling slightly at the corner. You remember peeling it yourself. You remember what it used to smell like. Plastic and peanut butter and sun-warmed apples. You open the lid. Inside, seashells. Just 3, each one different. One smooth and pink, one spiral, speckled, one broken but still beautiful. You don't remember collecting them, but they feel like yours anyway. You close the lid gently. You don't take it with you. Some things are meant to be found just once. You step away from the shelf. The lamps flicker slightly, but not in protest, just in rhythm. The tag on the door head says, Not claim, still open. You press your hand to the frame and step through, and for the briefest moment the smell of rain catches in the air. It hits you just as the door closes behind. That scent. Not wetness, but the moment just before it falls. The smell of petrichor rising from pavement. The way the world leans in before the first drop touches ground. This car is dimmer than the last. The light is soft and bluish, like late evening and early spring. A faint shimmer clings to the windows, condensation that never quite forms droplets. The floor is wooden and slightly worn, with a runner rug stretching down the middle. The walls are paneled in faded green, and every few feet there's a bench tucked into an alcove. You walk slowly. The air is cool but not cold, the way a room feels when someone just opened a door to outside. You sit. The bench creaks gently beneath your weight, not in protest, but in greeting. The cushion is thinner than it looks, but soft enough to matter. You rest your hands in your lap and exhale. Not deeply, just fully. The windows fog lightly at the corners. Outside, the landscape is soft and abstract. Trees blurred into long strokes of green, fields washed pale by a watercolor sky. Nothing here has sharp edges. The entire world seems to have taken one long breath and decided not to rush the next. There's a coat rack near your seat. A single jacket hangs from it, beige canvas, the kind with a collar you turn up in wind, the kind you never wash because it fits better every year. It sways gently on its hook, though the air is still. On the wall beside you is a framed, no picture, just a frame. The matting inside is blank, a soft ivory square of nothing, but you feel like you've seen it before. Maybe it once held a photo of someone smiling next to you on a day that never actually happened. Or maybe It's waiting to hold the memory you're building now. Somewhere in the car, a drip echoes faintly. Not a leak, just the idea of water thinking about forming. You close your eyes, and for a moment you feel like you're back in a house that never existed. Waiting for the rain to start, listening to a kettle heat up in the next room. You open your eyes. There's a small table in front of your seat now. You don't remember it being there before. On it sits a glass of water, room temperature. Not sweating, just still. You take a sip. It tastes like the pause before lightning. You set it down. You don't feel the train move here, but you know it hasn't stopped. Everything around you hums in a slow, steady rhythm, like a lullaby stretched into breath. You lean your head against the window, and the window leans back. You don't stay long. But when you stand, your shoulders are lighter. The bench doesn't hold on to your shape. It forgets you kindly. You walk to the next door, and before you open it, you look back once. The room smells like rain, and the next drop still hasn't fallen. This car is simple, just a corridor of windows, both sides wide open to the passing world. The train has entered a forest now. But it isn't dark. Thousands, maybe millions, of lanterns drift gently between the trees. No wires, no poles, no wind, just motion. Gentle and aimless. The kind of drifting reserved for dreams and deep-sea creatures. Each lantern glows a different color. Not loud colors, but soft. Dusty lavender, dull amber, a yellow so pale it borders on memory. Some hover near the canopy, others float low to the mossy ground. None of them flicker. They simply exist, steady. The trees themselves are tall and old, their bark a deep, shaggy gray. Moss climbs high up their trunks, and vines drape lazily across branches like forgotten scarves. Beneath them, the forest floor is smooth and damp, dotted with toadstools and patches of low, glowing ferns. The light from the lanterns catches in puddles that never reflect anything quite as it appears. The train glides through as if on a path carved by silence. No tracks, no sound of wheels, just movement, effortless and continuous. You rest your hand against the window. It's warm. One lantern floats especially close, just beyond the glass. Inside it, a small bird sleeps, tucked into itself, wings folded, chest rising and falling in a rhythm that doesn't match your own but makes you want to slow down anyway. You watch it for a while. Its feathers are violet, with streaks of white, and the air around it hums gently, like a lullaby only the forest remembers. The train passes slowly. You see a path below, barely lit, winding between the trees. You wonder what would happen if you followed it. Not now, just in some other version of this journey, some other self. One lantern floats upside down, shaped like a teardrop. Inside it, a paper boat floating in midair. There's something written on the sail, but the letters are too small, and the glass too far. Another floats higher up, larger than the rest. Inside, a table is set for tea. 2 cups, 1 plate of cookies. Steam rises from one of the cups, but not the other. The forest seems to go on forever, but you know it won't. Even forests like this have edges, they just don't always reveal them. Eventually the lanterns begin to thin, the trees grow farther apart, the light begins to scatter across open ground, and you realize the train is rising again. Not sharply, not suddenly, just enough to lift you out of the woods. You take a last look as the lanterns drift below, their glow softening in the distance, like memories you know you'll forget. The next car awaits. You press your palm to the door and step forward. You step inside and are met with a soft murmur of voices. Gentle, layered, woven together like overlapping circles on still water. But no one is speaking. The car is full of chairs, not in rows, not in order. They're gathered in small groups, loose circles of 3 or 4, with low tables between them. Each set of chairs faces inward. Each one feels like it's holding a conversation that began long before you arrived. You walk slowly down the center of the aisle. There's no one in the seats. But the voices continue. Not whispers, not echoes, just tone, the warm cadence of shared thoughts passed between people who don't need to say them aloud anymore. The kind of voices you hear through a closed door, soothing, familiar, even if you can't understand the words. You pause beside one of the chair circles. The table in the center holds a teapot and 4 mismatched cups. One cup has lipstick on the rim, another is chipped, the pot is still warm. A curl of steam escapes its spout and drifts upward until it vanishes into the light. You listen. The conversation here is quiet and rhythmic. A little laughter, maybe. A pause. The sound of someone leaning in to listen more carefully. Nothing is said, but everything is understood. You move on. Another group of chairs, this one smaller, only 2 this time. A pair of mugs set on the table. One empty, one full. The voices here are slower, deeper, older, perhaps, or just more tired. There's no urgency in them, just the comfort of being heard. You feel your body exhale again, without having meant to. The air in the car smells like dried lavender and old wool. The light is warm and indirect, coming from shaded sconces in the corners of the ceiling. Shadows gather softly beneath each chair, like cats sleeping in the quiet. You pass another group, 3 chairs around a tiny puzzle in progress. The pieces are soft-edged, handmade, painted with faint watercolors. The picture isn't finished, but the missing pieces are within reach. You don't touch them. You take a seat near the center of the car. The conversation closest to you hums gently at your back. The chairs behind you feel occupied, though your eyes say otherwise. You close your eyes anyway. And listen. The voices say nothing you can repeat, but you feel less alone than you have in a long time. There's no clock here, no movement in the walls, no windows. Just the sound of companionship that asks for nothing. You sit for a while, maybe a few minutes. Maybe the length of an entire story you forgot to finish telling. Eventually, you stand again. Your chair doesn't creak. It simply remembers where you were and then lets go. The door ahead opens without needing to be touched, and now the pictures on the wall are starting to move. The light shifts again as you step inside. Cooler now. Soft gray with blue undertones, like an overcast sky reflected in a quiet lake. The walls are lined with frames, not windows, not paintings, just screens. Silent, slow. Each one shows a scene, but they aren't movies. They don't move like films do. They breathe, expand, contract, loop in small, thoughtful ways, like someone remembering something important and not needing to rush the telling. You pause in front of the first. It shows you. You're sitting on a park bench beneath a tree you don't recognize, reading a book you've never owned. A scarf is wrapped around your shoulders. The breeze moves it. You look older, calmer. Your expression is soft in a way you've never caught in a mirror. You watch yourself turn a page, then pause to watch something out of frame. You never find out what. The scene loops there. You move on. Another frame. You're a child, maybe 6, maybe 8, standing in a sunlit driveway, holding a plastic sword and wearing one shoe. You're laughing. There's chalk on the pavement, a trail of it leading out of frame. You're not alone in this memory, but the others are just shadows. Warm ones. You glance at the caption beneath the frame. It simply reads, "If nothing had gone wrong that day." You keep walking. More images. Some are familiar, but changed. You recognize a kitchen from your childhood home, but in this version, the wallpaper is yellow instead of green. You're cooking with someone who's been gone for years, and neither of you are in a hurry. The clock on the wall is ticking backward, and no one seems to mind. Another screen shows a living room you don't know at all. You're not in it. But it feels like somewhere you meant to visit, urging. A cat sits on the windowsill, watching something outside. A jacket that looks like yours is draped over a chair. Some of the frames don't show people. One displays only a pair of shoes left at a doorstep, slightly wet from rain. A single lamp glows inside the doorway. The shoes never move. Another shows a hallway filled with light. Doors open and close in slow motion, revealing fragments of rooms. One filled with paper cranes, one filled with wind chimes, one dark and still. You come to a frame with no image at all, just soft color, fading in and out, like a memory not yet formed, or one that didn't happen clearly enough to stick. Beneath it, the caption reads, "Maybe next time." You don't stay long in this car, not because it's heavy, but because you've seen enough, and because the pictures don't stop playing after you pass. They just keep going, for someone else, or maybe for you again later. At the end of the car, the final frame is set apart from the others. No caption, just a mirror. You look at yourself. The lighting is different, your posture softer. But it's you, not younger, not older, just now. And the moment you blink, the mirror fades into color and becomes a window again. The forest has thinned, the ground below is flattening out, and a new sound emerges. Breath, a pause, a pulse. Sleep is approaching. You move to the next door, and the reflection doesn't follow. You do. The next car is quieter than most, not silent, but respectfully still, as if even the train knows what lies outside, deserves room. You walk to the nearest window. The glass is clear, cool, wide, and there it is, an open field, stretching out in every direction, covered not with grass or grain, but with clocks. Hundreds, thousands, all sizes, all shapes, each standing upright in the earth like sunflowers, ticking in mismatched rhythms. Some are pocket watches, balanced delicately on thin wires. Some are grandfather clocks, sunk waist-deep in the soil. One resembles a sundial made of mirrors, slowly rotating beneath a sky that hasn't decided what time it is. They don't agree. Each one ticks differently, some fast, some so slowly you can't even tell they're moving. A few tick backward. One isn't ticking at all. It's humming. A low, steady tone that you feel more in your ribs than in your ears. The train glides through the field without disturbing a single one. You pass so close to one massive tower of gears that you can see its minute hand trembling slightly, always about to move, but never quite choosing when. You take a seat near the window and just watch. One clock has no hands, only the faint outline where they once were. Another has 20 hands, none of them aligned. A digital display flashes random numbers. A cuckoo clock opens on the hour, but instead of a bird, a small cloud of stars bursts out and quickly disappears. You see one with your name etched into the brass faceplate. You lean closer, but the numbers are faded. Instead of hours, the spaces around the edge are marked with words. Once, Soon, almost, again. The second hand spins in small, uncertain circles, then stops. You don't feel uneasy. You feel accounted for. The train passes a cluster of wall clocks nailed to wooden posts. One of them is cracked down the center, the crack filled with tiny sprigs of moss. Another ticks only when you're not looking directly at it. A few of the clocks are melting slightly at the edges, not in the surreal, Dali way, but more like they've been held too long, like memory softened them. One small alarm clock is buried halfway in the earth, its little twin bells poking out like ears. It rings once as you pass, softly, like a yawn. In permission, you glance out at the field one last time as the train begins to turn. The clocks stretch into the horizon. Some fall behind, some are already ahead of you, and one, the smallest of them all, is perfectly in sync with your heartbeat. You don't know where it is, but you know it's there. The window fogs a little. You rise and walk toward the next car. The door opens to darkness softened by warm amber lamps spaced far apart along the narrow corridor. Their glow doesn't reach the corners, but it doesn't need to. Everything in this car is quiet, not silent, just at peace. You take a few careful steps forward. The floor beneath your feet is carpet now, thick hushed, the kind used in old hotels where even heavy footsteps sound like nothing. Beds line the car on either side. Not bunks stacked above one another, but single beds, narrow, well kept, evenly spaced. Each one is made up with sheets that are wrinkled but clean, as though someone has just left, or maybe just turned over. The pillows are indented, each in a different shape. You pass one with a folded blanket at the foot, a pair of reading glasses resting quietly on the mattress beside it. Another bed has an open book tucked beside the pillow, face down to hold its place. The pages flutter slightly as you walk by. One bed has a music box beside it. It's open. The tune has long since stopped, but the figurine, a bird perched on a branch, rocks gently, as if remembering the last notes on its own. The air smells faintly of laundry and lavender. You reach a bed that feels familiar, not because it's yours, not because you've seen it before, but because your body knows what it means to lie in it. You sit. The mattress yields slightly. It's not a new bed, but it's been cared for. The sheets are cool. The blanket heavier than it looks. You don't plan to sleep, but you let yourself lie back for a while. The ceiling above you is curved and painted a deep navy, pinpricked with tiny lights. They shift slowly. Not stars exactly, but constellations of thought, drifting in and out of shape. The hum of the train is softer here, slower, more like a lullaby than an engine. You close your eyes. You don't fall asleep, but something rests inside you, a breath that finally exhales, a thought that finally stops looping. The bed cradles the moment, then lets it pass. You sit up again after some time. There's no clock, no signal, just a sense that it's time to move again. The sheets smooth beneath your hand as you rise. You do not look back. At the end of the car, the light shifts again. The next room isn't enclosed. There are no walls at all, just wind and sky. You step through the door, and one side of the world is gone. The entire left wall of the car is open, not broken, not torn away, but purposefully absent. There's no railing, no barrier, just air, a vast, still openness stretching out beyond the edge of the floor. But there is no wind. The train moves, yes, but you are not buffeted. The open space accepts your presence the way a quiet room accepts a sigh completely, without question. You walk toward the edge. It doesn't pull at you, it simply waits. And what lies beyond is a landscape without rules. To the left, an ocean, pink and navy and vast, folds in slow spirals like syrup over glass. There are ships sailing upside down along the sky, their reflections bobbing more clearly than the vessels themselves. One carries a flag that simply reads, "We're fine." To the right, a desert rolls by, a sea of silver sand under a sky full of constellations you've never seen. The stars are close here, not above you, but beside you, as if the train is threading its way through the edges of the firmament itself. A flock of birds passes overhead. They shimmer, not white, not gray, but the color of rain when it hasn't fallen yet. One of them breaks from the group, flies parallel to the train for several long seconds, and then vanishes in a blink. Out into the distance, it's just gone. You sit down near the edge. There's no bench, just floor. Smooth wood, warmer than you expected. You tuck your knees in. Rest your head on your arm. The train hums along, and the world continues to unravel around it. Not chaotically, but gently, like a scarf being pulled loose from the neck of a dream. By below you now, a valley of clouds sculpted into shapes that don't hold. You see a house you might have lived in, a person you almost were. Then it all curls into mist again. Above you, another train, upside down, traveling in the opposite direction. You catch a glimpse of a glowing window. For a second it mirrors your own. A shadow in the glass waves at you. You raise your hand without thinking. The other train is gone before you can decide whether the wave was yours. You lie back now on the floor of this open-sided car and let your eyes trace the horizon. There is no horizon, just light and a hum, and the knowledge that the train is still going, not forward, not backward, but through. Through what? That's not the kind of question this train answers. The clouds below rise for a moment. You pass through them gently. The mist drapes over the floor like a slow tide, brushing your arms, curling against your legs, and then it's gone. The floor beneath you stays still. The air remains calm, and the doorway to the next car glows faintly in the distance as though dusk has gathered around it and is waiting to be led inside. You rise and walk on. The door swings closed behind you, quieter than before. This car is narrower than the last, the ceiling lower, the light dimmer, golden and close. Like a hallway in a home built for someone smaller than you are now, the floor creaks slightly beneath your step. Not in protest, more like memory. The first few steps feel ordinary. The hallway stretches ahead in calm, careful silence, but as you walk, you begin to notice. The distance between the walls is changing. The ceiling dips, just slightly, but enough. Each step forward is a gentle compression, a quiet folding in. A bookshelf on the wall once stood at eye level. Now it brushes your shoulder. The overhead lamps hang just a little lower. Still warm, still gentle. But closer. You keep going. The floorboards narrow. The patterns in the carpet begin to tilt inward, the design pulling toward a vanishing point you can't see yet. The furniture along the walls becomes smaller, too. A tiny writing desk with a pencil no bigger than your finger, a velvet footstool made for someone half your size, a dollhouse with working lights. One room inside it is lit. You don't look into it for long. As you move forward, your footsteps soften, then disappear. Your shoulders brush the walls now. The ceiling dips further. You stoop slightly, then more. Soon you're walking in a crouch. Not uncomfortable, just compressed, reduced. Not in stature, in noise, in pace. Your breath grows slower, calmer. There's no rush in this room, only depth. The next few steps take you into a hallway, so tight you must turn sideways. Your hand trails the wall. It's smooth wood here, polished, warm, pulsing gently, like the inside of a living thing that doesn't need you to leave. Not yet. You duck. The ceiling presses close enough now that you feel the light brush your hair as you move. Your body remembers childhood here. Pillow forts, closet hideouts, that place beneath the bed where the world got smaller but safer. You smile. Once, without meaning to, the hallway levels out. And just ahead, a door. Small, rounded, painted soft green. No handle. Just a small brass plate with the words, "You fit." You kneel now. Not crawling, not desperate, just quiet, just present. You press your palm to the door. It gives. And the world opens again. Shadowy shapes. You step through the low door and straighten slowly. The ceiling is gone. There are no walls now either, no windows, no lamps, just open air and sky, tall trees on either side, and a narrow wooden path stretching through the center of it all. You're not inside anymore, but the train hasn't stopped. It flows beneath your feet like a boardwalk set adrift, gliding gently through a clearing too wide to be natural and too calm to be man-made. Grass grows up through the floorboards in tufts. Leaves drift down from above, though there's no wind. A single feather lands near your foot, then lifts again without help, floating onward as if caught in a memory. To your left a tree leans close, so close you could reach out and touch the moss along its bark. Its trunk is hollow near the base, and inside it you see a tiny wooden door. Painted blue, no handle, just a hinge. You smile, you don't open it. The sun here is low in the sky, casting long golden shadows that shift as the train curves. You're not sure if it's early evening or the kind of light that never quite becomes any time at all. A fox watches you from the edge of the trees. It's small, curled around something. A satchel or maybe a parcel. It has a ribbon tied loosely around its tail. It does not blink. It does not leave. You nod to it as you pass, and it dips its head once in return. Bird song fills the air. Not loud, not layered. Just a few thoughtful calls, spaced out enough to feel placed. One sounds like a whistle you heard once on a summer night when someone was calling someone else home. You pass a bench carved directly into the path, moss-covered and cracked but steady. A notebook sits on the seat, open, blank. A pencil rests beside it, unsharpened. You don't sit, but you run your fingers along the wood, and it feels like your name. The path narrows for a moment as the trees lean inward. Ferns brush your arms as you pass. A breeze lifts a few strands of your hair, then moves on without needing anything else. You look up. The sky is blue, yes, but layered. Deep enough to fall into. A moon hangs above, though the sun is still visible. A soft gray overlap of sky and suggestion. You're not sure which is rising. You reach the far end of the car. There's a gate, now arched, iron, open. A small wooden sign hangs from the gate's frame. Please exit carefully. You pass beneath it. And the sky begins to lift. You pass through the gate, and the floor beneath your feet hums differently. It's lighter now. Not as in weight, but in density. The sound of the train has changed. You hear it less with your ears and more with your bones. A soft, continuous chord. rising gently in the background, like an inhale that never fully ends. This car is open on all sides again, but now so is the sky beneath you. You've lifted. The rails are gone, or maybe they're too thin now to see, just threads of light beneath the floorboards, weaving you upward without friction or resistance. You look down, and below you, rooftops pass slowly, then treetops, then hills, and then clouds. The train is ascending gently, tracing a rail through the air, curving slightly with each mile as though orbiting something only it can see. To your right, a city floats past, its towers made of canvas and old piano wire, tethered by ropes of ivy to giant balloons that breathe in rhythm. Laundry lines stretch from rooftop to rooftop, and the clothes flap lazily with no wind. To your left, a mountain unrolls itself like a scroll, its ridges drawn in charcoal. Waterfalls flow upward into the sky. A bridge spans a canyon, but only halfway, stopping mid-air as if the other side was never finished. Or never needed. You walk slowly, arms at your sides, and the air is cool now. Not cold, not crisp, cool in a way that feels clean, like after rain, like breath that doesn't carry anything heavy. A flock of kites passes above you. Not flying, just gliding, flat against the sky like brush strokes on canvas, trailing long tails of silver and red. You reach a small lookout platform, railed and circular, built into the side of the car. It leans slightly outward into the sky. You step onto it and lean against the railing. The train curves around a soft bend, and below you opens a familiar shape, a neighborhood. Maybe your old one, or maybe the memory of it. It's not accurate in scale, but it's right in feel. There's the corner store with the jingling door. There's your old mailbox, still a little crooked. There's the patch of sidewalk where you skinned your knee once and decided not to cry about it. And then it's gone again. Not erased, just past. A meadow appears beneath you next, lit by thousands of paper lanterns spelling out words in languages you've never learned but understand in your chest. Safe. Again. Yes. The platform ends in a short bridge made of glass. You cross it slowly. Each step below you lights up, one at a time, in soft hues, blue, green, gold, then fading behind you like a trail of forgotten questions. And then, just ahead, the sky changes. You feel it before you see it. The sun doesn't set, but the light folds in on itself, and a room waits in stillness. No tracks, no motion, just invitation. The doorway is already open. You step through, and the hum of the train fades, not completely, but enough that it becomes a background, like heartbeat, like breath, like the sound of your own thoughts when you finally stop pushing them forward. This car is small, not cramped, just complete. The walls are pale, cream or white or ivory, it's hard to say. They seem to shift softly with a light which has no visible source. It's bright enough to see everything, but dim enough not to ask anything of you. There are no windows. You're not looking out anymore. There is one bench. Low, wooden, cushioned, with a folded blanket, and a pillow at one end, as if someone left it that way for you, but didn't want to assume. You sit. The cushion breathes in gently beneath your weight. The bench creaks once, then settles. The light here doesn't change, it just stays constant, warm, unblinking. Across from you is a mirror, not large, framed in dark wood, simple, familiar in the way some mirrors are, like it knows more than it reflects. You meet your own eyes, but what you see isn't a snapshot. It's not a frozen version of you from this moment in time. It's you across all the parts of the journey that mattered. The quiet wonder of the platform, the reflection that waved without asking permission, the bed you didn't fall asleep in, but still rested anyway, the cup of coffee that never cooled. You see all of it in the softness around your shoulders, the slow curve of your mouth, the steadiness in your gaze. You look like you've been traveling, and you look like you were meant to. The mirror fades, not instantly, just slowly enough for you to say goodbye to the version of yourself who needed it. Where the mirror once was, there's only light now, not bright, just enough. You lie down on the bench, the pillow welcomes the weight of your head like it was waiting for it. The blanket pulls gently over your legs. You let your eyes drift closed, and when you open them again, you're no longer on the train. You don't remember getting off the train. You don't remember standing. You don't remember the bench beneath you, or the pillow, or the moment when motion became stillness. But here you are, somewhere soft, somewhere quiet, and the train is gone. There's no sound of tracks, no hum in the floor, no doors behind you hissing closed, just open air, just the slow, padded weight of something ending without needing to be mourned. You're standing on a platform, but there's no station house, no sign overhead, no destination board, no schedule, no next, just stone beneath your feet, warm from sunlight. There are no other people here, but you don't feel alone. To your left, a low hill rises with grass swaying like it's underwater. A small tree at the top stretches gently in the breeze. It waves in its own way. It's right. The path curls out of view. It's not paved, not marked, just ready if you are, not waiting if you aren't. You turn around once, slowly. There's no train behind you. No tracks, just a wide, open plain. The kind you see in dreams when you stop needing structure. The kind that makes you feel like time isn't something to be kept anymore. Overhead, the sky is soft and gold. Between morning and dusk, never choosing. A bird flies past, then another, then none. You look down. There's something in your hand. You don't remember picking it up, but it's yours. A small ticket, no writing on it, just a punched hole in the top right corner. A little torn at the edge, a little warm. You fold it once and slip it into your pocket. You won't need it again, but that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. You take a deep breath. It tastes like quiet and sun and something sweet you almost recognize. You step forward, not onto a new train or into a building or toward a new destination, just forward. The ground doesn't resist. The light doesn't shift, but something inside you lets go, and what remains is softer. You keep walking, not far, just enough, and when you stop, there's nothing waiting for you, nothing demanding to be seen, just the space you've arrived in, and the peace that arrived with you. You sit, you breathe, and the station, with no name, no clock, no exit, fades slowly into sleep. Just like you. This has been The Train That Goes Nowhere and Everywhere. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed the journey. See you soon.